Hi, welcome to the recap of our first AMA session pertaining to the NFT project we've been teasing for the last couple of months. We are finally able to share a lot more information that we were able to in the past, namely the nature of the project, how we got here, and what are the next steps. So in this call, we will be covering a few agenda items. The origins of the prime barrel, how did we get started on this journey, what led us up to this point, and the reason we're considering the membership, and not just the paid membership, but the membership tied to the blockchain technology and the NFTs. I will be also covering some of the questions that were pre-submitted before the session itself and during the live session. And last, I will be talking about some of the next steps. Let's start with a basic introduction. I think in any project, especially a Web3 project, transparency is key. And by sharing some of this information, I'm hoping to put your mind at ease in my ability to see this project to successful execution. In my heart, I'm the numbers guy. So let's take a look at my career by numbers. Last 25 years, I've spent working for two Fortune 100 companies. That's Merck and Oracle NetSuite. I also speak two languages. I've lived in 3 countries and 4 cities. I was born in Baku, Azerbaijan. That's the picture. When I was 15 years old, my family moved to Philadelphia, and that explains my love for all professional Philadelphia-based sports. Um, Eventually, I moved to New York for work, and I've spent 15 years of my life living in New York City. This is where I met my wife. Now, my wife happens to be from California, and so that explains my eventual move to California, where I now have a second home and we started a family. In my corporate career, I've overseen as many as 25 people under my leadership. I've executed the projects that were a lot more convoluted and complicated than this one. As I mentioned, we started a family, so I'm a father of 2, 3.5 and 5.5. So proud dad, raising 2 little kids now. And finally, drum roll please, number 1 on this list represents one kick-ass whiskey club, which is, of course, the Prime Barrel. So what is the Prime Barrel? Most of you watching this are probably already familiar with us. We are, of course, a single barrel club. And we started out this venture back in December of 2020. As a matter of fact, a small sidebar. In August of 2020, I completely quit my corporate gig and I started to do this particular thing full time. So this is a passion turned into business, which is the best of 2 worlds. The club was founded by myself and by Ilya, who also happens to run the Divine Spot. Many of you have used that service to procure hard-to-find whiskeys. Between 2 of us, we have this eclectic collection of experiences that don't necessarily mesh, but it works in our case by moving this locomotive called the Prime Barrel forward. As I've mentioned, I have 25 years between 2 Fortune 100 companies. My roles spanned all over the spectrum, starting with sales and continuing into marketing and strategy and big data. And Ilya, on the other hand, is a second generation wine and spirits professional. So between the 2 of us, our collective experiences, it definitely helps the overall cause. But let's get back to the club. As I've said, we've launched in 2020, so essentially 2021 was the first year of operation for the club. And in 2021, we've sold 25 barrels under the Prime Barrel brand, and we also are on the way to do at least that this year. On top of that, we've helped other accounts with procurement and fulfillment of another 20 barrels. So for those of you counting at home, that means that we've done close to 1 barrel per week in 2021. That is pretty impressive. What also differentiates us from other barrel selecting clubs is our commitment to community work, more specifically, our support of different charities. Charities that are being suggested to us by our members. In 2021, we supported close to 24 different charities as suggested by our members. So it works great. We drink great whiskey and we support those in need. Our main goal in selecting barrels is always taste. Taste trumps everything else. Having said that, we have a pretty good mixture of working with very well-known brands and craft distilleries alike. Over time, we've worked with Four Roses, Old Forester, Angel's Envy, 1792, and other big-name brands that you see on the screen. In addition, we had a very eclectic mix of craft distilleries that people don't necessarily know, and they're not a household name. By our ability to select barrels of good whiskey with them, we were able to expose our members to brands that they don't normally know or would reach for in their local shops. If you want to see our entire list or roster of prior, current, and future selections, you can do so on our Discord channel. The Discord channel is a community of whiskey-minded enthusiasts where we talk about many different whiskey-related topics and also NFT-related topics. So if you haven't had a chance to join, this is a link, and joining is free. You will not be disappointed. Discord happens to be also a place where we release and announce major club-related announcements first. So let's talk about how many current customers or members do we have. We have about 1,200 current active members, and by that we mean people that actually have spent money on one of our selections. In addition, we have about 11 more thousand whiskey enthusiasts that have expressed an interest in receiving whiskey-related emails and might become a customer at any point. Over the last year, we've been fortunate enough to grow the club to the point where now supply cannot keep up with the demand. More people want to get their hands on our selections that we have bottles for. As a matter of fact, 5 out of 6 last barrels sold out within hours. In our club, we have a rule where we give an exclusive 24-hour window to our members, to our prior customers, to get a head start on any new barrel drop. If there is inventory left after 24 hours, we release it to the general public. And as I've mentioned, 5 out of 6 last barrels never made it to that second day. The exclusive access is being granted in a way of us sending out links to a password-protected pages along with corresponding passwords. But the problem is that 24-hour window can be easily compromised by a rogue member sharing a password with someone who isn't qualified to get an advanced access, and thus it compromises people who do qualify from their ability to get their hands on bottles that they would like to purchase. With increased appetite for our barrel selections and barrels not really making past that first day into the general public round, it makes it pretty difficult, if not nearly impossible, for the would-be members to make their first purchase and therefore become a paying member. Thus, the idea of pay-to-play membership was floated by us. In the beginning, we resisted it, but we quickly realized that this is probably the only way to make it equitable. So the last couple of months, we spent designing a membership structure that we think is interesting enough and valuable enough for you to consider. And today, I'm very excited to share that membership structure with you. We've considered many different models, but ultimately landed on the tiered membership structure with 2-tiered approach. Tier 1 will only have 200 seats available to it, and then Tier 2 will have 1,800 seats available to it, for a total of 2,000 total memberships. The 200 number in Tier 1 is a pretty strategic number, and it's directly tied to an average barrel yield. More on that later. Also, the membership is a lifetime membership, meaning you pay once and you're in for as long as you hold that NFT. The NFT or membership can be transferred to anyone. Once transferred, access to membership perks is lost, and all membership benefits then would shift to the new NFT holder at that time. That is another perk of having the membership tied to a blockchain or NFTs. The transfer or sale of membership becomes more elegant and efficient versus trying to sell a more traditional membership. There are secondary markets where you can easily transfer and sell NFTs, such as OpenSea, for example. So, what does the membership perks actually include? Great question. Let's start with tier 2, which is really our entry tier. The first perk would be an advanced access to anything Prime Barrel selects. When I say advanced, that would be secondary access after tier 1. Tier 1 folks will have access priority, and tier 2 folks will still have 24 hours to make their purchase once it's their turn. Next, all NFT buyers will get a unique whiskey expression via one free bottle at launch. Those expressions will vary tier to tier, but suffice it to say, you will not find anything like this anywhere else, regardless of whether it's tier 2 or tier 1. I will explain the difference between two tiers and bottles that those people will be getting a little bit later in the presentation. Next, all members will receive our custom downloadable Prime Barrel tasting sheet. Tier 2 members will gain access to local community events such as tastings of different brands' portfolios, bottle share events, which is essentially us renting out a private room or a bar and then having members attend it with their own bottles, and then the entire community gets to share each other bottles, and we are having one awesome party together. Next, we will be inviting tier 2 members to a virtual private battle selections, meaning we will be selecting future battles together virtually using Zoom technology. We'll send out samples ahead of time, jump on a Zoom call together, and pick a battle together. Tier 2 members will also receive our awesome Prime Barrel Glencairn glass, and as inventory allows, we'll be periodically sending them random swag items. So that was tier 2. Pretty awesome collection of perks, wouldn't you agree? Now let's jump to tier 1, our quote-unquote gold membership. So obviously the tier 1 folks will get first access to purchase the Prime Barrel picks, and they will get 48 hours exclusive window to do so. The reason for 48 hours is because we have members in all corners of the world, and sometimes timing differences do play a role in people not being able to pick up a bottle they truly want. So 48 hours should remedy that, and it provides an additional perk to tier 1 members. As mentioned before, there will be a free bottle of an exclusive collaboration single barrel expression for tier 1 members. More on that a little later in this presentation, but you are getting at least one free bottle of a very unique expression that is only going to be available through the Prime Barrel membership. Available only to tier 1 members will be an opportunity to join us on our barrel selecting expeditions. We already took a few of you to Kentucky this year to select 5 barrels with us. We're taking more people to East Coast distilleries in June to select even more barrels, and moving forward, once the membership launches, it'll be an exclusive perk to tier 1 members. Similar to tier 2, tier 1 folks will obviously have access to local and virtual community events I've described earlier. The next one is also an exclusive tier 1 membership, and that is a spot and a randomizer to purchase a highly allocated bottle at SRP. With the help of our retail partners, we'll be offering a couple of highly allocated bottles per year to be purchased essentially at SRP instead of paying exorbitant secondary pricing. So that is a nice perk for tier 1 folks as well. And you can see the rest of perks for tier 1 on this slide. So let's recap the access priority. Tier 1 folks will get first access to it. They'll have 48 hours to make their purchase. If there's anything left, the tier 2 folks will get their crack at it. They'll have 24 hours to make their purchase. And then in the very unlikely event anything is left after that, the remaining inventory will be offered to the general public. On this slide, we put benefits of both tiers together in a matrix for you to review. Feel free to pause the presentation and take a closer look at benefits offered and how they differ tier to tier. A few points to consider. We are currently on pace to do 26 barrels to finish out 2022. That's on par with last year. This volume is partially based on our ability to select prime barrels. We will not ever dilute the quality of our barrel selections with the quantity. The number is also partially based on our fulfillment obligations to different clubs. We've done close to the same amount of barrels, 20 to 26 last year, just procuring and fulfilling for other clubs that asked for such service. We plan, moving into 2023, to get to 52 prime barrel selections per year. That is a barrel per week. The average yield per barrel of 200 bottles, that is equivalent to roughly 10,500 bottles per year for everyone, both Tier 1 and Tier 2. We do expect Tier 1 members to scoop up about 35% of all available bottles. That is more so going to be the case with exclusive bottlings and highly sought after barrels, such as Old Forester or Four Roses, for example. However, we still have plenty of quality barrels coming this year and then the next year to satisfy both tiers. We will not dilute the membership by making more membership seats just for the sake of making more membership seats. Once the NFT mint is over, or rather once the NFT sale is over, the only way to get first or second access to our selections would be through buying an NFT from an existing member. And at that point, that sale will take place at the market price. Alternatively, you can wait to see if there's going to be any inventory left over after Tier 1 and Tier 2 folks get their crack at it, but I highly doubt it. Next, let's take a peek at our membership roadmap. So Q1 obviously have come and gone, and we've launched the Discord channel clearly. We've taken some folks to Kentucky, as I've mentioned before, to help us select some barrels. And we had a Found North Whiskey Portfolio seminar where folks got to meet and greet Found North founders and taste through their entire portfolio. A second quarter rolls to an end here at the end of June. It's a good time to take a look at what is yet to come. I'm super stoked to take another group of people with us on our second barrel selection expedition. This time, we'll be visiting distilleries located on the East Coast, anywhere from New Jersey to West Virginia and everywhere in between. In the middle of June, we're planning a barrel craft spirits portfolio tasting to coincide with our own barrel craft spirits barrel pick. More excitingly, we have started a framework development and also an art development for this very NFT membership program. To be clear, all of these great experiences are now taking place free of charge, but will be reserved for members only once the membership is rolled out. Looking ahead to Q3, we'll be revealing a number of barrels that are slated to be launched in the next quarter, and the quarter itself is shaping up to be busy with the development on both the framework and art components of this project. As a reminder, you can always check out the full barrel roster of past, present, and future selections on our Discord channel. Finally, looking into Q4, that is the most exciting quarter of this year in terms of this project. This is when we are looking to launch the membership program. This is when the pre-sale and sale events will begin and end, and we're looking to close out year in style by throwing members only holiday party. By now you're probably thinking, well, all of this is great, but why does it have to be tied to a blockchain or NFTs? Well, I'm glad you asked. The NFT technology will help on many fronts. Namely, it will help us scale the membership. We are not in the business of administering memberships. We're not AAA. Our main objective is to select best tasting whiskey barrels and then get that whiskey into your hands as quickly and safely as possible. Blockchain tech and NFTs will allow us to write smart contracts that will essentially govern the membership without much of our interference. This means we don't have to incur extra costs, and that also means we don't have to pass on that cost to you. Using NFTs to validate your membership will also solve the 24-hour exclusive window password sharing issue I've described early in this presentation. This means we no longer have to send passwords to password protected websites. Instead, our website will check for the NFT existence in your digital wallet, and if it sees it there, it'll let you proceed to a product description page where you can make a purchase an absolutely normal way using your credit card or crypto for that matter. It might come as a surprise to you, but the primebarrel.com website right now already allows you to purchase our selections using a number of cryptocurrencies. In short, using the NFT technology will no longer require a use of password protected pages, no more passwords to remember, and no more passwords to share. More importantly, it will ensure that people that should have access to these bottles do. Let's talk about how NFTs could also provide intrinsic value to the membership. Because we're going to have a limited amount of memberships available, once the sale event is over, the only way to get access to the Prime Barrel selections and exclusive bottlings for the club would be through the NFT ownership, or in this case, would be through purchasing an NFT from an existing member. That is, if you can find one that wants to sell it. At that point, the price for the NFT will be dictated by the market and by the seller. So, in a sense, the price could be actually higher than what the members paid for during the initial sale. This is what we refer to as providing intrinsic value to the membership. And finally, having the membership tied to the blockchain technology and NFTs opens up strategic partnership with distilleries that weren't there before. Well, what does that exactly mean, you might be asking yourself. And that's what I'm going to explain next. To build on my last point about an intrinsic value to the membership, one of the ways to drive that value up is by offering something no other club has. To that point, we are partnering with a number of strategic distilleries on exclusive bottles that would only be available through the Prime Barrel membership. More specifically, those would include truly unique single barrel expressions that would come bottled with custom labels bearing our NFT art. That is a truly exciting development. And to show you what that might look like, take a look at this bottle. Clearly, this is a Maker's Mark bottle. There is no confusing it for anything else. However, it comes with a pretty label that was specifically developed by makers for a different NFT project that has nothing to do with Whiskey Club. But it drives the point home that distilleries are open to such collaborations. It is also worth noting that the whiskey inside that Maker's bottle is just a regular Maker's Mark whiskey. It's no different from any other Maker's bottle that you can buy at your local shop. This is how we are going to be different. The whiskey inside our bottles is actually going to be unique. It's truly going to be a single barrel expression. So our bottles will be beautiful from inside and outside. And if you think that this is just an exception rather than a rule, then you'd be wrong. Here's another bottle that bears an NFT art on the bottle label. In this case, it's a very well-known Bored Ape Yacht Club monkey, or ape I should say, gracing the label of the Monkey Shoulder whiskey bottle. Naturally, we expect the demand for these bottles to be quite high, And this is why we're going to limit them to one bottle per member. We want to make them available to as many members as we possibly can. And this is why we're instituting this limit. And we're also partnering with Sagamore Spirits for the launch of this venture. Couldn't be more excited to partner with Sagamore for many reasons. They see the future the same way that we do, and more importantly, they are willing to provide us with enough unique and exclusive bottles to be ready by the time we launch the membership. More specifically, Sagamore will provide us with not one but two unique and exclusive expressions. Tier 1 members will receive one bottle of an exclusive single barrel pick, a true single barrel pick, in a bottle with a custom label bearing our NFT art. That NFT art, as I mentioned before, is being developed right now, which in and of itself is going to be pretty badass, and I will share that with you when the time is right. And what about Tier 2 members? Well, not to be forgotten, Tier 2 members will also receive a unique expression, but it's not going to be a single barrel pick. It's going to be a distillery only release that you cannot get in any other place other than distillery. That expression will also come bottled in the bottle bearing custom label with our NFT art on it. Those unique bottles for Tier 1 members will be ready to go at launch. So whenever the purchase is made, your special bottle will show up in a couple of days after that. And then the Tier 2 member bottles will be available a couple months later. And hey, there's more. If you think Sagamore was the only distillery we partnered with, you'd be dead wrong. We already have 6 other distilleries in queue that are willing to produce such special release bottles for us. And that is super exciting. I'm not going to be revealing all of them, but I will give you a little preview of what a second such release is going to look like. And that release will come from our friends at Found North. If you ever had a Found North whiskey before, you'd know that we're not just going for the fancy labels, but we're actually looking for the best tasting whiskey. And if you haven't had a Found North expression before, we highly recommend you pick one up as soon as possible. So for 2023, the goal would be to have one such exclusive bottling release per month. So we're looking to have about 12 special releases next year. But hey, we might always have a surprise in store for you. And speaking about our surprises, our own The Prime Barrel whiskey was just announced. The whiskey itself is pretty unique. It's a 9-year-old MGP distillate with an experimental mash bill of 51% corn and 49% barley. It's an amazing and very delicious whiskey that we picked ourselves. And hey, this is how it's going to look like. Now, this bottle, this good-looking bottle, will only be available to future NFT holders / Prime Barrel members. One last point on these strategic relationships and these exclusive releases. We're not just looking for one-offs with these distilleries. These releases are going to be annual releases, and they're going to keep coming in very exclusive bottles with very exclusive custom labels on them. So it's a very exciting opportunity to add bottles to your collection that are only going to be available for our club. At this point, you might be thinking, okay, shut up and take my money. And this is how much exactly it would cost you to get into our club. As I've mentioned, we are going to have 2 tiers, obviously 2 pricing points, and we're going to sell them in 2 rounds. More specifically, the pre-sale price, which is discounted by 15% from the public offering price, will be held for a limited amount of time and until a very finite amount of memberships are sold. The exact numbers of both memberships and the limitation on how long the pre-sale is going to last for has not been determined at this time, but we'll definitely keep people posted in our Discord community. That being said, our current customers, the people that actually drink whiskey and enjoy whiskey, are our main focus. And so the pre-sale is our way of making sure that those people are taken care of in terms of being able to get into the membership at a discounted price. So if you are entertaining an idea of eventually purchasing this membership, we highly recommend you getting at least one bottle of our current selections and joining our Discord community, because that's exactly where we're going to announce a pre-sale first. Now I'd like to demonstrate how replacing password protected pages would actually work with NFTs. Please ignore the website itself, but I did want to show you how an NFT gateway could actually work. So when you get to a page that will send a link off to you, but this time without any passwords to remember or enter, you'll get to some sort of a landing page where you'll be asked to connect your digital wallet. After connecting your wallet by typing in a password that you've created prior, we'd be able to authenticate you and check for the existence of the NFT in your wallet. And if we see it there, you'll be prompted to continue to the product description page where you can make a purchase using either your credit card or crypto. That's it. It's as easy as that. No more passwords to remember, no more passwords to share, ensuring that only people that's supposed to have access to these bottles actually do. And that's our presentation. Next, I want to answer some of the questions that were pre-submitted prior to our live AMA session or were asked during the AMA session. So let's start with this one. Will you have a how-to guide to help me better understand crypto and NFT technology? Yes, we will. We're actually working on a very specific NFT page right now. Once it's ready, we're going to have multiple instructional videos on how to create digital wallets, how to buy crypto, specifically Ethereum, and then how to connect your digital wallet to our page and buy our NFTs. I would also urge you to do your own research and at the very least create and open your own digital wallet so you're ready to go when our page is ready. What wallet do you recommend? As you've seen from a screenshot before, Coinbase and MetaMask are the two most popular digital wallets, but I definitely invite you to do your own research and at least understand the difference between the cloud-based wallet and a physical-based wallet. This is probably a good time to give yet another shameless plug to our Discord channel. You can always ask questions of the community. We have people with various knowledge levels of the NFT technology that are always looking to help. Next question, will you have any options for those that are not interested in NFTs but still would like some kind of membership? Not at this time. Our efforts at this time are strictly dedicated and focused on creating this NFT-based memberships for the reasons I've already described before. We all want the NFT to be valuable, so limiting quantity or continued increasing pricing for membership must be part of the plan, correct? Well, the quantity will be limited at 2,000 total. That speaks to that whole intrinsic value argument I made earlier in this presentation. The number itself is very strategic. It is based on our ability to source good tasting barrels. As I mentioned before, we will never dilute quality with the quantity. Having said that, we are looking into different ways of expanding. And if our ability to source more good tasting barrels increases in the future, we might look into expanding the club beyond the 2,000 members. But in any case, that decision will be made with the approval from the club. Can a token be transferred or sold to a different person and still be honored for the membership it represents? Yes, this is a Web3 in a nutshell. But to be clear, the seller will lose his or her privileges once their NFT is transferred. All membership benefits would shift to the new NFT holder at that time. We all know that you have experience in a Web2 space and with Whiskey, of course. But how do you plan on publicizing this project and exposing it to the Web3 space? In other words, how will you attract the members of the Web3 space, and what are your plans to further innovate in it? Before I answer this question, there's a very important thing that I need to say. With this project, we are trying to marry two worlds that don't necessarily overlap. On one hand, we have whiskey drinkers that enjoy opening and drinking their whiskey, and that's the world that is near and dear to our hearts because we are a part of it. On the other hand, as with any NFT project, it'll be important to attract quote-unquote NFT enthusiasts that might not necessarily care about whiskey as much as they do about the NFT price going up. So we plan on increasing our marketing efforts through popular Web3 platforms like Twitter, Discord, etc. But our main goal remains for our core group to come along on this journey with us and be comfortable enough to become a member because of all of the perks that we've already explained, because of their first access, because of all of these nice exclusive bottles that I've mentioned. We believe there is a great value behind this membership, and our focus remains on our core customers. We will try to get as many of whiskey drinkers to convert into the paying members, and then we'll concentrate on Web3 space enthusiasts. Are you considering partnerships with other projects? We are, although that will come later down the line, perhaps not even 2023, but perhaps beyond. Our main objective remains to get the membership and the club off the ground and make sure that people are getting those great tasting whiskeys and exclusive whiskeys in their hands. Do members have a vote on increasing membership if the demand exists? Yes, I have alluded to that before. We will have it up for a vote when that time comes. Why isn't free shipping included as one of the perks? Well, with the lifetime structure of this membership, it's just not financially feasible. We cannot bear the cost of shipping into perpetuity, especially given uncertainty around ever increasing rates and things of that nature. And even with the renewal model, if we went that route, that would have made the price of the membership just prohibitively expensive. Instead, we took that out and still left our current model in terms of, hey, when you get 3 bottles or more, you're still getting free shipping. So that will actually stay. And speaking about 3+ bottles, next question, can you offer storage services so I can store bottles until I satisfy a free shipping requirement? Unfortunately, no. And the reason being, let's remember where we are located. We're located in New York City, Brooklyn to be more specific, where space is at the premium, and our main objective remains to get those great tasting whiskeys into your hands as soon as possible. That means we need space to properly package and ship them to you. That means we need space. So for that reason, we just don't have enough space to be offering storage services. Now, that might change in the future, but for now, that's not going to be offered. How do you address the tremendous pollution and negative environmental impact of this concept? NFTs currently put a lot of carbon in the atmosphere for very little utility. It is a loaded question. The very little utility can, of course, be argued and debated. But I'm not here to do that. What I will say is that the technology is rapidly evolving. People that are big in crypto space, the titans of the space, such as Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey, and you can think of them however you want personally. But when it comes to crypto and when it comes to mining crypto, they're putting the money behind solar powered plants and solar powered mining farms. So, to some degree, that will lessen the negative environmental impact. And as with any new technology, it's just going to get better and better with time. So that alone wasn't enough to deter us from going this route. Any thoughts about offering periodic tiered bottle discount for T1 and T2 for NFT owners? Not suggesting for every bottle offered, as NFT is an access program, but a holiday or special occasion discount versus public price, or buy one plus second bottle discount. Yeah, we are planning on periodically doing just that. Of course, it'll depend on the bottles themselves. You know, some bottles, as we've said, will have limitations, some won't. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We definitely are planning on sweetening the pie, so to speak, for our members. When do you expect to open memberships? We do expect to launch in Q4 of 2022. Not exactly sure when within that quarter. We'll know, we'll have a better idea as we draw nearer, but that is the plan. Between now and then, it's business as usual. Can more than one person share an NFT? If no, can you revoke an NFT if abused? If revoked, will you reissue to maintain 2,000 members? So there is a lot to unpack here. So let's just peel it one by one. So the NFT is a unique identifier. So it's only one NFT per person, and no one would be able to share it per se. But you could, in theory, pass or sell your NFT to another wallet or person. You would be passing on your membership to that wallet or person under this scenario, which means the person who is buying your NFT would now be able to make purchases and take advantages of the perks within that membership, but you would not be able to. Speaking about abusing the membership, I don't necessarily foresee a scenario under which it would be abused. Although, live and learn, and we'll reassess it as we will move forward. We will have an ability to revoke a membership if a member, quote unquote member, buys an NFT and doesn't make a bottle purchase within a year. That to us flags an NFT flipper. And as I've said many times before, this membership is really built for people that enjoy and drink whiskey. So that would be probably the only scenario under which we would revoke an NFT. But again, this could change in the future. Would we be able to? Oh, and by the way, if we do revoke a membership, that seat will become up for sale again. So that's that. Would we be able to combine Prime Barrel picks with Divine Spot regular catalog? Yes, cautiously yes. I am working on that as we speak. And basically the parameters of the deal would be, as long as your order contains one bottle of Prime Barrel, at least one bottle of the Prime Barrel selections, and your total order contains 3 bottles or more, then the shipping would be free for Prime Barrel members. Are you suggesting making certain barrel pick bottles NFT themselves? No. Our NFT utility is a membership validation only, although we do see some use cases as the question suggests. But I'm not going to get into that right now. How will this club govern itself going forward? Will there be a governance document created with the rules to oversee changes to governance documents by vote or NFT owning members? Clearly, this question was asked by someone who's been around a block when it comes to Web3 projects. And what he is or she is referring to is this thing called DAO. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Essentially, it's a way of structuring a business within the Web3 space. Think of it as an LLC or S Corp in a virtual world. And the tenant of a DAO is essentially this governance piece that the user is referring to. The governance essentially is built into a smart contract, and it allows members to essentially run a business together. And if that is an obstacle, because we operate in a very regulated industry, most of you don't know the rules. And those rules actually vary state by state. So we do still need some sort of a centralized body, i.e. us. But outside of that, we already put a lot of things to vote for our Discord community. That includes barrel selection, sticker ideas, many other things. And we fully expect to continue to do it. What guarantees do we have? If founders lose interest and shut down the program, the NFT will be worthless. In theory, that is very true, but it's no different from any other business shutting down. Think of the gym membership shutting down, and then your membership becomes useless and worthless. Now, having said that, as I mentioned in the very beginning of this presentation, this is my full-time job. I am not going anywhere. This is what puts food on the table for me and my family. So I'm here for the long term. I understand taking me at my word. I'm asking for a lot, but I've been very transparent from the get-go. And as I said, this is very tangible business, with very tangible products and services, and we've been doing it already. So you kind of know what to expect from us. Will there be bottle limits for each offering? Yes, there will be. So obviously for the exclusive bottlings, there will be a limit, as I've mentioned. And then on some of the highly sought after brands such as Old Forester, Four Roses, Russell Reserve, maybe a couple others, we will institute one bottle per member limit. And that's only to get as many folks access to those bottles as possible, especially tier one folks. But most others will definitely not have a limit, and therefore you would be able to take advantage of, the free shipping offers such as, 3+ bottles. Next question. To upgrade from tier 2 to tier 1, can you pay the difference in price between the two, or have to pay the full price for the tier 1 and then try to sell you tier 2 on your own? It's the latter. Now, it's actually pretty easy to sell NFTs right now. There are many secondary markets where you can do it. Probably the most famous one, or popular one, I should say, would be OpenSea, where NFTs trade every minute, much like stocks. So selling an NFT should not be a problem there. NFTs use only Ethereum, and we'd have to buy Ethereum. Isn't there something called gas fee? And that also raises the price. That is correct. Think of a gas fee as a credit card processing fee. The only difference is in the real world, the processing fee is being paid by the merchant. In the virtual world, the gas fees are being paid by the buyer. And as I said, normally gas fees is added to the price of an item. Now, as of this writing, the gas fee on Ethereum network is mere 26 cents per transfer. I would think someone who's purchasing a $1,500 membership wouldn't necessarily care about an extra quarter. But those do vary and on many different factors. I'm not going to explain them today, but suffice it to say, we'll plan our launch around the time where those gas fees are minimal. That's all for the FAQs. As to where to find us, this is all of the channels that we are on. Again, Discord is probably the best way to connect with us and with other whiskey aficionados and enthusiasts, as well as the brands. We're also pretty big on Instagram. So as for the next steps, we will publish this video on Discord, and we will also publish a white paper in Discord for your review. You can take a look and give us your feedback. We will send out a short survey to gauge your interest in the program. The only thing that I ask is your candor. If this is not for you, then that's fine. Please say so, and I would appreciate it if you could explain why isn't it for you and what can we do to gain your business. And lastly, as I mentioned many times, we're looking to launch this thing in Q4. and we will keep you updated as we move forward. Thank you very much for sticking around for this long to hear me ramble, and I'm hoping to catch you on our Discord. Take care.